Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. As you see, we have a special guest today. Phil Elmore is joining us. And because of his joining us, I'm drinking out of my Mayhem mug because one of his websites had to do with mayhem. And he has a long history of writing about self-defense, martial arts, violence, including novels, the Mac Bolan series. So we're going to let Phil introduce himself a little in a moment, but I want to remind people that go to enjoylifesafely.com and check out all the resources there. This video and the audio podcast will be there later. Anybody can want those, share those around. So enjoylifesafely.com is one of the places you want to go to, and we're going to tell you some more places you got to visit with Phil here pretty soon. But Phil, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit for those that maybe didn't catch you the last time you were on the show or not familiar with some of the things you've done?
Well, I've been a writer for 3 decades, and I've spent a lot of that time writing about self-defense, first because it was of interest to me, and then because it became my job. I worked for a series of internet marketers for a couple of decades, one of them for 15 years, and then several others along the way. Along the way, I saw the insides of not just internet marketing, but the self-defense and survival industry specifically. And that was both good and bad. It's kind of like when you work in a restaurant, the food is no longer magic. Suddenly, when you've been in the kitchen of a restaurant, you see how much microwaving takes place when they make your food. And so, for the rest of your life, eating in a restaurant, while the food is still good, it's never quite as magical. And when you learn the insides of the self defense industry and internet marketing specifically and generally, you start to see the whole business of it much more cynically. And it's not all bad. Like people think of cynicism as something that's bad, and it's not necessarily the case. But you understand what the process, like you know when you're being upsold, you know when you're being marketed to. And so that has become an area of great interest to me. While at the same time, I've undertaken the single biggest book writing project I've ever done. Over the last year, I've been writing what will end up being 32 or 33 books on self defense, many of them about knife fighting, but not all of them. Some of them aren't about self defense at all. A couple of them are specialized topics. Two of them are books that I'm publishing for someone else. And the whole point is to arm people with information. And if we've learned anything, especially in this age of AI, access to information is transforming our society, but how you approach and apprehend that information is really important. So this was one way of giving people, arming them not just for self-defense, but with the information to interpret the industry that's telling them about self-defense. And I'm very aware of the irony because I'm doing the very thing that I'm talking about while I'm marketing these things to you, but hopefully in an honest and earnest way.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I want to say good morning to Dixon. Dixon said good morning to you, Phil. And then he also said good morning to me and anybody else. So thank you for being here, Dixon. So with this big endeavor you're doing, I mean, what, 32 books in the year, and one of them you're giving away for free, correct?
Yes, I'm giving away a copy of Thumbs of Doom, a PDF copy, not this hard copy, to anyone who sends me a private message on social media. My hope is that by giving away the book, I can interest the reader in the full collection of books, which they're getting at a giant savings. Retail, these books will end up costing you $500 if you buy them individually. If you buy them through the bundle, it'll only cost you $199. But and I know this whole thing sounds like, oh, welcome to my wacky book emporium. But along the way, I'm also doing a Zoom class at the end of July that is all about my insider take on the self defense industry. I had a sales professional tell me that that class alone, if I was a marketing guy, like an established marketing guy, I could charge like $800 for that class. And I'm giving it away if for people who buy the book collection because I feel that strongly about it. Plus, it feels good to talk about it. It feels good to say, for years I engaged in this business and I don't feel bad about it. Like I didn't do anything dishonest, but there's a process to it. There's a process involved in separating you from your money and then making you feel good about the purchase that you've made. And I think it's consumers today are more savvy than ever before. They understand the market better than they ever have. but there's still a big gap between what's taking place on the marketing side and what's taking place on the consumer side. So I think, I'm kind of approaching all of this. This is my grand summer of content. I have a little sign that I put up above my desk so I see it every morning. It says summer of content. It's got a picture of the beach. And that's to inspire me to keep writing because, writing is a very internal game. You sit here in this room all day long by yourself in your head. And I have 33 separate books that I'm trying to finish publishing. 30 of those books and 2 exclusive bonuses are listed on the page link that I will send to anybody who reaches out to me and wants a free copy of Thumbs of Doom. They can download it from there. They don't have to give me an email for that. They can just grab the book. And I think it's pretty useful. I think it's pretty helpful by itself. So,
I would agree. I mean, I contacted Phil. Phil sent me the link, so I downloaded Thumbs of Doom. I have gone through it. Very practical, simple strategies and techniques using your thumbs when you defend yourself. And I like how, you explain different things because there's a Hapkido technique where, it's hard for me to do one-handed, but where when we grab the arm and we use these fingers and find the pressure point, and people have trouble finding it. And then I turn it around and I show them a different technique where you find it with your thumb, and it's much easier to find because your thumb is stronger. And you lay out stuff like that in this book, which I sort of like because when I was going through it, it reminded me of, the pressure points and how people find it with their thumb easier and so forth. And, you had the classic in the eyes, but you had different places to use your thumbs. So some really practical, good advice on self-defense, and you can get it for free.
yeah, we live in such a instant gratification, free stuff culture. One of the big problems for internet marketing when you're selling products is that your audiences are conditioned to expect things for free. So giving this away is kind of a gimme. It's kind of like, well, you've got to if you want to get anybody's attention. But at the same time, we all have an inherent understanding of what something that is free is potentially worth. Well, it's worth what you paid for it, essentially. So giving someone value and not charging them for it is a way of establishing that you mean what you're saying, that you're being honest with them. It's a way of establishing trust and starting a relationship with the person who becomes your audience member. And over again, in the entire stack of sales books that I've gone through at length, and I hate sales, hate it with a passion. Um, as I go through it, it's constantly stressed that being honest and earnest and genuine with people is what earns you loyalty from an audience. And that strikes me as entirely worthy because you're showing respect to your audience when you treat them with respect and then they respect you back. And I can't think of anything more fulfilling than to get up every day and sit down and go, I'm going to create something and I'm going to treat the people who consume that thing with respect. Even the term consume, I don't really like because it implies a kind of mindless eating on the part of the people who buy. These are patrons. These are people who see value in what you're doing, which I guess is where the whole Patreon stuff comes from. The pay me for what I do. That whole philosophy behind paid subscriber sites. So it's all kind of mixed in.
No, and I agree. And sometimes it's hard to give stuff away. I mean, I just released last weekend a new little PDF guide. Originally, I thought, okay, I'm going to do a 4 or 5 page PDF guide and a real short little mini course, maybe an hour's worth of videos. And it turned into a 30-page PDF guide that I'm giving away. And the course has 45 videos. Some of the videos are very short, saying, download the worksheet and do the worksheet. It's going to help you because there are 6 different worksheets in the 6 modules. But it turned into way more than I thought it was going to be. And I still am priced it super low and giving away the PDF just to help people. Like you said, you want to give people the value, value their time, value what they're coming to you for some advice on something. And, the advice I wanted to share is how to get back up when life knocks you down. After my wife's cancer, it sucker punched me last year. After this injury, sucker punched me 3 months ago. And I'm going to a surgeon next week, and we still don't know what we're going to do with this. I haven't been able to use this wrist. I can't pick up anything heavier than my phone for 3 months now, and still not wondering what they're going to do. The one option may be still going in and having surgery and fusing everything together, because I separated those wrist bones and ripped some
It's
stuff
funny
in
that
there.
you mentioned that because I am sort of terminally online. That's part of my job. And I was not even aware of the giveaway because when you try to give something away, it's like trying to get out any other message. You are competing with countless other messages. I remember years ago when there were 20 or 30 television channels, it was possible to know what all the television channels were. At some point you needed a search engine or a channel guide to know what was on television because there became so many channels that no human being could reasonably keep track of them all. We've seen that problem multiply exponentially. So now there's so much information out there. You could spend all day long doing nothing but looking for free information on the internet and downloading it, and you'd never have time to read any of it, and you wouldn't be anywhere near finished. For example, I just discovered on Internet Archive they have a grand art, that Peter Coyote knife fighting movie that is sort of legendary among people who enjoy knife fighting. And it's just there for free to be downloaded from the Internet Archive. And that's just one little glittering gem among billions of them across the internet. So I went to Enjoy Life Safely and I downloaded your free book and I saw the course there. And as someone who has been through hard times, I thought this is really valuable. This is really useful. The book is really good. But trying to tell people about it is hard because you're waving your arms trying to get people to notice you in this sea of competing information. I was amazed at how many people have not reached out to me just to get a completely free book. Part of that is we're cynical. So we're like, well, if it's free, there's clearly got to be some kind of catch. You want something from me. You're trying to trick me. And so it's hard to get them to understand, no, if you message me, you get this free book. It's yours to keep. I may mention the book collection and the class that I think you would really get a lot of value out of. And you could choose to pay for that at a great savings if you wanted to, but you don't have to. The book is yours. There's no catch.
Yep, you don't
And
have you can get that PDF, learn about thumbs for self-defense, and never talk to you ever again. And
right.
if you want it, I mean,
And
I think so, I've seen the list of titles that you're working on, and some of them look really damn good and look interesting. And some of them, but some people might go, "Well, I'm not interested in that, but I'm interested in these." And for the bundle, it's worth it to get them all, and maybe even a couple of the titles you're not as interested in, but some of them you're definitely going to be. So, and
well,
like you said, you could buy them individually if you decided to. If you saw the list and said, well, there's only 5 that I really want out of the 30, you could buy those 5 individually when they come out.
yeah. And when I start offering them individually, the promise will be, look, if you buy this and then later you want the bundle, just tell me that you bought one of these early ones or 2 of these early ones. I'll take that price off the total because you've already paid that. I don't believe in penalizing people just because they weren't quite fast enough. I do have to have the cutoff date for the Zoom class is the 15th of July, only because I have limited seats on my Zoom account for people to attend that class. And we're rapidly filling up in terms of the number of potential slots. Now, will all those people show up? I have no way of knowing, but potentially I'm getting close to the limit of who can be there. I'm going to offer a recording of the class to everyone who's signed up, so if they can't make it live, they'll still get it. They don't need to worry. But it would be nice to be able to ask questions when you're in there live and you have the opportunity to really see the insides of things. I have been constantly amazed at how unpredictable human behavior is, and I've seen it in real time with real money. Like, one of the dumbest products I could ever possibly imagine was one of the best sellers over and over and over again. It's a flashlight with a stun gun built into it. And the first time I saw that product, I thought, why on God's green earth would I want a flashlight that can also electrocute me? It seems like such a terrible idea. And yet, over and over and over again, that product was a bestseller. People love it. And I wanted one too after a while. And that's one of the things I've learned about marketing in general and self-defense marketing in particular is that I'm just as susceptible to it as anybody else. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you get something you like, something that's useful, and then you feel good about having gotten it after the fact, literally everyone has won. So there's a stigma attached to the idea of selling you things. And there doesn't necessarily need to be, because unless you're, putting yourself in the poorhouse by buying things you can't afford, then you're getting something useful and you're getting something that makes you happy. And then you're feeling good about your purchase after the fact and you're seeing value in that. So I have no problem with any of that. People are always very suspicious of social media. Why is social media trying to get my personal information? Well, it's not like Mark Zuckerberg is sending commandos to your house to kidnap you in the middle of the night. He's collecting your information so that he can more effectively sell you things and so that he can leverage the ability to sell you things by offering it to other people who can then advertise to very specific market demographics. The whole idea being, I don't want to just throw an ad at you. I want to throw an ad at you for a product you might actually want. And that is the marketing game. It's not just I'm selling, it's I'm selling something you want. And people forget that. And so, I have myself, as I've said, a love-hate relationship with the whole marketing game. But at the end of the day, I'm a huge believer in products and information and in people getting the things that they want and need. So this project, writing these books, many of which are on aspects of knife fighting because that has long been a passion of mine, and many of which are on other related topics, I just enjoy the heck out of it. I wake up in the morning and I feel a sense of joy, like, oh boy, I get to work on such and such book today, and that's fun to me. Um, every once in a while, something bad happens. Yesterday, I was down in my shop where I make Kydex sheaths for Engines of Mayhem, the shop that you mentioned before. And I turned on my bench grinder, and the outlet went bzzzt, and all the lights went off. So that was a little traumatic. Turns out outlets can get old, and when they do, sometimes they explode. So, I mean, I'm overstating a little bit. It exploded internally when the repairman took it out. He's like, "There's a hole in the back of this." I'm like, "Oh, good." So we got it back together, and impulse power has been restored in the grand tradition of a starship limping along with its injuries. So,
Nice.
but I have described my life in the biographies of the books that I write in the back of the book as a series of adventures from behind numerous desks and keyboards. And I have multiple computers at any given time. I'm swiveling from one to the next to do various tasks at various workstations, and it's remarkably fulfilling to be able to share the stuff that's in my brain with other people. And in some ways, my job is that of communicator. It's not that anything about me is special or better, because certainly it's not. I mean, look at me. But what I do have the ability to do is communicate and get those ideas across to other people. And when you can make information accessible, especially in this overwhelming age of information everywhere coming at you from every conceivable angle, then you've done something special that helps people. And if I can help people, like the best messages I get are the ones where people say, this helped me, or I got something out of this, or I really enjoyed this. And the same is true of my novels. When I write fiction, when someone says they really enjoyed something, or when they pester me for a sequel to a book that, may or may not be in the cards right now. Because one of the things I've worked with a number of different intellectual property purveyors. And sometimes I worked on books that are not my property. They're just books that I wrote. So people will be like, hey, when are you going to do a sequel to this? And I'm like, I don't actually own that. So I don't know. Maybe
Right.
someday. But it's flattering. It's flattering when people like something so much that they're willing to reach out to you and pester you. And as I said, I've been shocked at the number of people who haven't simply messaged me, because sending a message on social media is the easiest thing in the world. And if you could get a free book, this book, Thumbs of Doom, with it's not, this is not a pamphlet. Like, this is an actual substantial full length self-defense book of the type that I used to buy when I would shop at Paladin Press or go to the bookstore and go to the martial arts section in the bookstore. You can get that completely free. Offering them as PDFs did two things. It allowed me to send them internationally when that would be prohibitively expensive. But also, people don't realize just how much censorship there is on big tech platforms. I mean, they think they do. But you don't understand book burning if you think that book burning is when I can't go to a high school library and get an inappropriate book. Like, oh, they're burning that book. No, nobody's burning the book. You can still buy the book. Book burning is when Amazon says, yeah, your book doesn't meet our standards, so you can't be here. Because Amazon is some gigantic percentage of the overall book market in the
Yep.
world. And if you don't have access to that market, your book may as well not exist. So there are certain sensibilities I have to be careful when I publish. Thumbs of Doom, I was able to publish a hard copy version so I could wave it around on camera. but because the content on that's not terribly controversial. But there are other topics, especially knife fighting topics, where I'm not sure Amazon would be okay with it. So I have to censor some of that stuff and change some of the titles and do things in a way that I don't want to do. So publishing the PDF allows me to be completely uncensored and give people, straight talk, just like I want to do it, which has been very freeing. But it's also it's kind of like when a radio DJ goes to satellite and he can say naughty words.
Right.
If he gets another radio job, he's got to learn to clamp that back down again.
Exactly. Dixon said the biggest secret in sales game is get behind a killer product. So
That's true.
and
It's if you really have a good product, you feel a lot better about what you're doing than if you
yeah,
have a bad one. And it's possible to sell a bad product. I have worked for internet marketers who were selling bad products, and I've tried to give them advice. I remember one conversation I had in particular where I'm like, well, to make this, if you don't want people to keep returning this, you have to change these things about the website. He's like, but if I do that, they won't buy it. I'm like, do you not see a problem?
exactly. And I know, Phil, you say you like it when people recognize you or say things. I remember one time in a bookstore, probably Barnes and Noble, picked up a survival magazine of some sort and was just paging through it. And I saw an article and it was on a topic that I was actually dealing with the website at the time. And so I read through it and said, oh, yeah, that's right on point. That has some good stuff. Because it was on water and it was on like having water and so forth. You probably remember it then. And then I looked and said, oh, Phil wrote this. Okay.
Well, my favorite confluence of my various activities. I worked for an internet marketer for 15 years, and he was a big fan of programs that told you how to do things. You could sell this guy anything that involved a new way of systematizing your marketing business. And he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, I bought a new audio program on sales. Guess whose voice is reading it? It's yours." Because I had recorded back when I did some voiceover work, I had recorded a sales program for some freelance client. And I remember thinking, wow, this is the kind of thing this dude would really like. And he ended up seeing it independent of me, buying it, and then recognizing that it was my voice. So I've always been very amused that came full circle. As an extremely prolific author who's also been an extremely prolific marketer, there's a good chance that you watching this have read something I've written, even if my name wasn't on it. At the height of my internet marketing, I was writing emails that reached 300,000 people across multiple mailing lists. So you may have seen a marketing email that I wrote. You've probably read a book that I wrote or ghost wrote. It's just one of the occupational hazards of turning out so much work over the last 3 decades.
And that's awesome. And as we talked earlier that we weren't going to go too long, so we can sort of wrap this up. I want to make sure people know they can get the free Thumbs of Doom PDF by just sending you a message. And which social medias?
Well, right in my nameplate there on X, I'm Phil_Elmore. My DMs are open. You can reach out to me there. You can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, and as soon as I see the request, I will respond to it. All you have to do is send me a message, and I will be happy to. And if you don't use social media and you want to send me an
I was about
email,
to ask you that. What if somebody's listening on Spotify and doesn't do social
yeah,
media?
if you want to send me an email at phil@philelmore.com, that's phil@philelmore.com. Feel free to drop me a line and I will send you the book.
Awesome. And if they get that free book, they'll get some information on all the other books.
Yes.
And they'll also get it if they want those other books and do the deal before the 15th, they get to be on the Zoom call with you and ask
yes.
questions and learn about that.
The download is on a page that lists all of the other titles. Just for convenience sake, I had to put it all in one place because I would have trouble remembering all the books that I have to finish if I didn't have it written down in one place. So I'll send them the link. They can go there, download Thumbs of Doom. It's a direct download. It just links to a drive file. You can just download it and it's yours. Yours to keep, no catch. And then if they want to pay just $199 for $500 worth of books on knife fighting and self-defense, they're free to do so. All they have to do is contact me and we can make payment arrangements. I'm doing it directly, personally, so that I can give each customer a personal treatment. I didn't want to make it, I could set up like a PayPal button or something and never see these people. I don't want that. I want to actually interact with these people. And I have the luxury of being a relatively small operation. So, I mean, it would be nice to have such problems that I have so many millions of dollars of sales rolling in that I can't handle it personally. But the fact is, I can handle it personally, and it's nice to be able to do so. So, if they buy the bundle by the 15th, they'll get in on the Zoom class, which will be held at the end of July. I haven't scheduled the exact date yet because I'm not certain of my schedule. But anybody who's on the list will receive all those details. They'll also get a free recording, a link to download the recording after the class happens, so that if they are on the list but they can't attend live, they can still see it. And in that class, I am going to cover Confessions of an Internet Marketer. I'm going to cover all of the stuff that I saw as ways that the self-defense industry manipulates you to get you to buy stuff and to help you feel good about it after the fact. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like you need to know what those things are so that you can shop as a more informed individual.
That is awesome. So people, contact Phil, get that book. If you get nothing else, you're going to learn how to use your thumbs in self-defense situations. And that knowledge alone could help you be more safe and enjoy life better. So get that if nothing else, but check out that big list of other titles. I'm sure you'll see something on there that you'll like. I know a number of them I thought, oh, that's going to be really good. And so I'm sure you'll see some that you really like as well. And go to enjoylifesafely.com. I got some free resources to help you there too. So
I
both
highly recommend the Enjoy Life Safely, the free download of the title. I can't remember the exact title. It's
still
called what again?
standing.
Still Standing. I
How to get
really
back up. That's
enjoyed that.
that's the newest one that I put out. And it's nothing to do with self-defense. It's to do with taking life's hard knocks, like my wife's cancer, like injuries, like getting fired, and just get some motivation and some encouragement and some skills and exercises you can do to get back up and face life head on, because you're going to get punched again.
I feel
Life
like
just,
that's
life just
information
keeps
we can
hitting
all
us.
use. Like
Yep.
it's not that uh, people like to say that bad things come in threes, or that celebrities die in threes. It's not that at all. It's that life is a constant stream of bad things, and you just have to deal with them one after another,
Yep.
however you group them.
And that's what the Still Standing guide and course are all about. So you can get that at enjoylifesafely.com. You can get Phil's book at any of his social media or email him. Do it. What do you have to lose? You got some free information that can only help your life get better. So thank you much, Phil, for being on today. And, once we go a little bit farther and you got more of those books published and different things, we'll have to have you back on to talk about some of those.
I'd be happy to. Back Pocket Knife Fighting is the first one I'll be releasing, and that'll be out in just a matter of days.
Nice. Sounds good. So everybody, make it a fantastic Friday, and we will see you tomorrow.